Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the April regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. We're holding today's meeting at the Dennett Road Educational Complex. The board will be recessing immediately for executive session. We do hope to return at approximately 6 p.m. Under section 3-305B of the General Provisions article of the Maryland Annotated Code, there are 3 reasons the board will go into closed session this evening: to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, demotion, discipline, the compensation, removal, resignation, and performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction; any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals; to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on legal matters; and to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to negotiations. Specifically, the topics tonight will be 3-305B1, topic including certificated staffing recommendation, revised confidential salary scale for level 6, and director salary scale placement revision. 3-305B7, topics including board member use of personal devices, BAI solar power purchase agreement for Route 40 Elementary School, and USDE Title VI certification of compliance. 3-305B9, topics including Garrett County Healthcare Coalition Plan Update and Presentation of Maryland Blueprint Career Ladder for Level 4. The reason these topics will be discussed in closed session rather than open session is follows. Personnel topics pursuant to 3-305B1 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because they include a discussion of specific employees, which is confidential employment matter. The legal topics pursuant to 3-305B7 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because the board will be receiving specific legal advice from counsel, which is protected by attorney-client privilege. Negotiations pursuant to 3-305B9 disclosed above will be considered in closed session rather than open session because of the confidential nature of collective bargaining process. With that being said, are there any objections by board members of going into executive session? Hearing none, is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Rodney.
Second.
Second by Sadie. Discussion? All those in favor of going into executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And we are in executive session. There will be no discussion or action taken at this meeting, but may be considered at a future meeting. Issues that are specific to individual employees should be referred to the immediate supervisor for appropriate consideration and review. Rude, slanderous, or threatening remarks or behavior that is disruptive or interferes with the order of the meeting will not be permitted. Topics excluded from public comment include individual personnel issues, comments identifying specific students or staff members, matters that are on appeal or may be appealed or have been appealed, topics for which the board schedules formal public hearings, advertising or solicitation for products and or services. And again, I apologize. We got a really tight executive session, so we were out here at 1 minute after 4.
Okay.
So you go ahead, Mr. Tupper.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I crashed the meeting. I didn't know whether it would.
I'm sorry. We're going to need to reopen public session again to make sure that we are compliant with the law. So we will recess our executive session, correct? And then we will ask for, do we have to get a motion to get back into public? I don't think so. Okay. Okay. So we'll recess from executive into public. Okay. All right. My attorney tells me we're okay.
All right. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt the executive session,
you're fine.
but I couldn't tell from the website whether it's more appropriate to be here at 4 or closer to 7, so I just decided to show up and see what happened.
Either's fine.
And I'm also, I want to speak on the topic of the proposed sex ed curricula. I have to admit I'm unaware as to, I understand there's a presentation on that subject later, I think after 6 o'clock today. I maybe should have waited until then. I do not know whether you all have basically already formally adopted that or are under, if it's just under consideration, or exactly what the status of it was. From your shaking of your head, I guess you haven't formally adopted it yet. And so I just wanted to show up to say that I would not be in favor of adopting that particular curricula if what we're trying to do is prevent teen pregnancies or STDs in our kids. All of the research, I think, everywhere has shown that abstinence-only programs are ineffective at doing that. And in fact, the highest rates of teen pregnancy and STDs among teens occur in areas of the country where abstinence-only programs are the norm. You can look at Texas, you can look at other states in the South where that's what has been adopted as the sex ed curricula, and it just doesn't work. That was really all I came to say. I looked at the proposed program, I should say that. I specifically looked at, I saw that they promote it as an evidence-based, so I was curious as to what the evidence was. They cite one study in their online presence as to how it's evidence-based. It's a study of 6th and 7th graders who they followed for 2 years. And they only followed the ones who were voluntarily participated for 2 years. One might suspect that 6th and 7th graders who became sexually active after their sex ed education, their abstinence education, might have been the ones who chose not to continue following up for 2 years, and that it was the ones who were not sexually active as 6th and 7th graders who continued to show up and continued to report that they were refraining from sexual activity more than average. And so, but based on that study of 6th and 7th graders who were followed for 2 years, that was the evidence cited for this curricula that's being proposed. I don't know what the statistics are around here, but I don't think we're really too worried about pregnancies and STDs for 6th and 7th and maybe 8th graders. It does happen, probably even happens around here. But I think if we're trying to deal with those sorts of health and we all know if a teenage girl gets pregnant and has a baby, that's going to affect her life, for forever. She's going to be less likely to get an education, less likely to get a good job, more likely to live in poverty with her kids. And so agreed, we don't want that. But if you're going to, I don't think that the proposed curricula is going to prevent that from happening. I certainly would not like to see us spend a lot of money on something like that. And I guess that's all my comments.
Are you old enough to remember the Gong Show?
Yes.
That was the Gong.
Oh. Did I almost make it, or how long did I go
close.
over?
You're very close.
Okay, sorry about that.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
No, you're fine. Thank you. Back. We need a vote to go back. I don't think we do. Just make the announcement that we're not going back. Okay, we'll now go back into executive session and leave this portion of the public. Well, good evening. Welcome to the April 8th regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. I apologize for being about 25 minutes late. We had a presentation from an outside group in executive session and went a little longer than we thought it might go. So we're running a little bit behind, but we'll catch up as quickly as we can. That being said, I'd ask that you would stand for a moment of silence to be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance led by our student member. Thank you. Take a motion to approve the public agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Rodney,
Second.
second by Sadie. Discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
I will let you know too, Mr. Moore is on the phone, unable to be with us this month, and so he was that last aye that you heard. The approval of the consent agenda. Take a motion as such. So moved by Matt,
Second.
seconded by Sadie. All those in favor of the consent agenda as provided signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
And it is unanimous. Closed session summaries and announcements, once again, are on our website. We certainly encourage you to look at that, to see the things that are going on with the school board, along with the activities that are happening throughout the county with our school system. Our first order of new business is promoting health among teens, abstinence-only intervention curriculum. This is a review, and I think Mr. Edwards, and with some help, is going to present that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pleased to have James Michaels from the Health Department here with us. We have a partnership with the Health Department to help us with our health curriculum in the schools. Specifically, this evening, we're here to talk about the instructional materials for high school health. You all had a chance, or at least it was provided in the slides, to take a look at that. The reason that we're doing this is the old program, which we've used for a long time, was sunsetted. The publisher was not going to do any more updates to it, so it was just going to go away. This program is extremely similar, if not almost identical, to the old program. So this was the program that the Health and Wellness Committee looked at, put their approval to. It's the program the Health Department recommends in our partnership with them. I spoke with the teachers at both schools last week. They like the program, and they're very appreciative of the partnership with the Health Department. I want to make sure that we say that. And they look forward to using this as well. Just a couple of notes of interest before we take questions. The program is funded through a grant through the Health Department, so there is no cost to the school system for this. There is an opt-out on this program, so all of the materials go out at the beginning of health class with all the students to parents and families. That talks about all of the standards that they go through, and the opt-out material is there, so the student parent can opt out of the material.
Portions or all? Portions of the material or
Both.
all?
They can
Either.
opt out of the
Either.
whole thing, or they can opt out of certain standard or certain parts of that. And I think that's pretty well. They are, and you can see by this slide, making a difference was the old program that no longer will be supported, and moving to promoting health among teens, abstinence only. These packets, these materials are going to be in Accident Ruth and Low Library and the Oakland Ruth and Low Library, if parents or community members are interested in looking at it. You can also go to the link on the last page, excuse me, last page of the slides that you can get to the materials online. The materials are currently already at Accident, and they will be in Oakland tomorrow morning. James, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, the only thing that I will add is that the Promoting Health Among Teens, although it is the new curriculum that we are switching to, it's kind of like the Gold Star Standard that we had had. We had done that program. They had introduced, the developers introduced this Making a Difference program. And so we had done this Promoting Health Among Teens prior to doing this with our partnership with the public school. So we had done that in a community setting through after school and through different venues. And then we got the partnership with you all to do Making a Difference. And so our staff has already been trained in this and has done it. This isn't even our first time facilitating this. So we are just going back to kind of what we knew based on the options that the grant tours gave us.
Just real quick, one other thing that I think is essential for us to understand is that this is a supplemental resource to the instructional resources that GCPS has adopted and formally has adopted in order to teach the state standards in the health framework.
So this is not the entire curriculum, this is a
Correct.
part,
It's,
and
This
how
is
much of a
standard.
part?
Standard 10.
What's that?
Standard 10. It's one standard amongst the standards.
Okay.
Good question.
Are the other standards abstinence-based as well?
I guess that's a matter of interpretation. Becky, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, it's skill based and giving students information, so they do teach that if they opt in for that section, if you're not about family life. Some of the standards are everything from nutrition to using the internet, looking for resources on the internet, physical activity. It's not, the standards, health standards are just not sexual, in that sexual realm or whatever. So yeah, there are those sections for STDs and birth control. Parents can certainly opt out. We'll teach students all different. These are the options in life. Be really informed, and then you get good decisions.
How do we inform the parents that they can opt out?
It's on with the students and email each parent.
Okay.
So we're not relying on the students to take it out of the packet.
Okay. Because I mean, just off the top of my head, there'd be no way I'd want one of my kids to go through this. Be no way.
That's why
And
Yeah.
that's why there's.
So we're aggressive in letting parents know that.
And
Okay.
we definitely have parents opt out
Good.
every year.
Good. Thanks.
I like the idea that it's not total abstinence, but it's also not total comprehensive. In a perfect world, students aren't going to be having sex, but guess what, they do. So I think we need to arm them with the correct information.
I'll also speak just to both of those comments. So as Dr. Miller had stated, it is supplemental. So the health teachers also do bring in other guests besides us to speak to the matters that are in the curriculum that they teach. So for example, they also do ask personal health to come in, and parents would have the option to opt out of anything that has to deal with sex or abstinence.
So parents know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
parents it is very transparent from the beginning, that it goes out, it's listed very clearly which lessons students can and cannot participate in.
Yeah.
And the teachers relay that directly back to us as outside, guests to facilitate. So.
Do we have to teach this? This is Maryland law, right? So it has to be available.
has to be available.
Okay.
And just for the record, it's standard 1C, which is family life and human sexuality. That is where COMAR specifically allows and expects districts to be able to have a process in place for families to opt out of those particular standards, and we've taken every advantage of that.
And I think it's important to say, not to get lost in this, and I know it's the one that gets the most attention, but our health curriculum, our health class, which is mandated for graduation, is a comprehensive health class where sex is a part of it, but it's also exercise, nutrition. The sex ed part, family life part of it is a small component of the whole curriculum, but it is the one that gets the most attention for obvious reasons.
So they can still, they're like the good stuff with the health curriculum, the exercise and all that. They can take all that and still have the option to opt out.
Yeah, you can opt out
So
of
they're not
health.
opting out of the whole thing.
You cannot opt out of health. You have to have that credit to graduate. What you may opt out of are the particular topics,
Okay.
which typically they
And then
opt
there's,
out
and
is-
when they opt out, there's another assignment given.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Still a freshman class.
No, it is not freshman only. I did look just because I was curious what the breakdown is. Most of our students in health right now at both schools are 9th and 10th graders. There are some 11th graders in health, but it's not a freshman only class like it used to be anymore. It's actually probably more sophomore oriented.
Other questions? It is a review item. We'll take it up next month. Certainly, we encourage everyone to look at the entire supplemental resource and give us your thoughts. So we have, and we'll read every thought.
Yeah, if
So
you
we-
go to the feedback survey on the link, you can provide comments. It'll come right back.
Right. Okay.
There's actually one other thing that
Sure.
we probably ought to say, because we do this anytime this particular instructional material comes up. We did have our wellness committee in the fall that Mr. Glotfelty serves on review this material and have an opportunity to provide feedback. There was nothing raised of significant concern, and no official formal feedback was provided, but we did have a discussion and an opportunity for them to share.
Good.
And we do have a very diverse group on that committee, including community members, pastoral members, teachers, parents. It's a pretty diverse group. So I'll just share that with the board as well.
Mr. Edwards, I have one more question, just kind of clarifying question. I know that you can opt out of the promoting health among teens, but did I understand you correctly? There are certain sessions in just regular health that you can opt out of?
I think the only thing you can opt out of are the sexually related content, which there is some that are outside of this ancillary curriculum.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, James, for coming. Appreciate it. Next item is an action item, and it's to award a partial roof replacement at Northern Garrett High School. Mr. Witt will make that presentation.
I'm here today for the Northern High partial roof replacement. This was advertised and we received multiple bids. I'm making the recommendation to award the bid to Height Associates in the amount of $3,458,000. This is being funded through Healthy Schools money and local match.
Superintendent, according, you have a recommendation?
My recommendation is to approve Height Associates to complete the partial roof replacement at Northern Garrett High School as presented tonight for $3,458,000.
Superintendent's recommended to the board that we award to Height Associates a partial roof replacement at Northern for the cost of $3,458,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Don. Second?
I'll second it just because we need some
Second? Can I have discussion? Questions or discussions? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rodney.
question. This is a partial roof replacement. What portion of the roof is being replaced? What percentage of the roof is being replaced?
around 75%.
So if it was 100%, we could assume it would be around 5 million to replace it.
I think so, yeah.
Why, why so expensive? Just because of the area, square footage?
Flat roofs are expensive.
Okay, so it's a built-up flat.
It's a 2-ply membrane roof with bituminous coating. It's very labor intensive. The pea gravel that's on top, that's there now, all has to be removed. And as part of this is new insulation in the roof as well.
Okay. I guess that's what the cost is.
You said about 75%. Would it be more cost effective to do the whole thing?
Other portions of the roof have already been replaced.
Okay,
And this is a 90-10 split with the state.
Well, I was just notified today from Healthy Schools, they've increased the northern amount to 95.5
Okay, great.
rather than the 89.11.
Good.
Yeah, which, as I recall, looking at both the southern and northern, it's a substantial savings from what we anticipated it
Yeah,
being, which obviously passes on to the local fund
yeah.
share.
Both jobs combined came in under the overall budget that we had for both schools.
Yeah, I thought so.
Northern came in significantly less than the project estimate. But Southern did come in slightly higher than the project estimate. But overall, with what we had budgeted for both roofs, we're under what we had budgeted.
Other questions about the northern replacement? And so, it will start,
The week around May 20th after testing is complete.
okay, and should be, the part that they need to do should be completed by the first of school?
Yes. Maybe some trim still going up in the fall, but the northern project's pretty manageable to be finished this summer.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second to award to Heighton Associates an amount of $3,458,000 to do a partial roof replacement in Northern Garrett High School. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. And it is unanimous. Okay, let's move on then to Southern.
All right. The next project is a partial roof replacement for Southern High School. SGK Contracting was the low bidder in the amount of $4,809,000. This is also being funded through Healthy Schools money with a local match. That one was increased 1 percentage point to a 90-10 split versus the 89-11 split. And this work would start in May, and the area being replaced is larger. This is most likely going to carry over to 2 summer seasons.
Superintendent McCarty, you have a recommendation?
I do. For the Southern Garrett High School, my recommendation is to approve SGK Contracting Incorporated to complete the partial roof replacement at Southern Garrett High School as presented for $4,809,000.
Okay, Superintendent is recommending SGK Contracting in the amount of $4,809,000 as a partial roof replacement on Southern High School, which most likely will take 2 summers to complete. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Rodney,
Second.
seconded by Matt. Discussion. As I recall, didn't SGK had a bid for both, but didn't have the personnel or something to do both?
They didn't have enough staff to complete both roof projects.
I'm sorry,
They didn't have enough staff to complete both
I-
roofs.
the second one's by Don. I'm sorry, I said Matthew, but it's actually by Don. I'm sorry. Yeah, they didn't have enough staff.
Yeah. And they were significantly less in the amount of
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
$700,000
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
on this project.
Yeah, I just want to mention that these type projects would have been very difficult in the past if we had a 50-50 split. But with the over 90% of the funding coming from the state, I think it's imperative that we do those projects while we still have that split in place.
I agree.
Questions, comments, anyone? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second that SGK Contracting Incorporated be awarded a contract for Southern Garrett High School partial roof replacement anticipated over 2 summers in the amount of $4,809,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. And it is unanimous. Thank you, Bobby, for all your work getting this ready for us.
I have one more
We have
item.
one more. Can't get rid of you that early, huh? All right. Let me scroll down here. Okay, Route 40 decarbonization project. Yeah.
So, Dakin, who we work with on many of our energy projects, they have proposed a project for the decarbonization of Route 40 Elementary. They worked with us to get a grant from MEA in the amount of $2.5 million. I'm asking you tonight to award to Dakin a contract of $124,310 for the engineering of the new electric boiler at Route 40. And this money will come out of that $2.5 million grant from MEA.
Okay, Superintendent, do you have a recommendation? I'm falling behind here, asking too many questions.
That's all right. First of all, if I may, just take a minute and note that while these projects are large and they involve a lot of money, the money is not, the vast majority of the money is not local monies being spent on these projects. As was just said, this money would come from MEA for Route 40. So my recommendation is to approve Dakin Applied Americas to complete the engineering design for Route 40's heating system, moving from the existing hot water boilers using number 2 fuel oil to a high efficiency heat pump with heat recovery, variable refrigerant recovery system as presented. And this is the engineering and design portion of this for $124,310, and this funding would come from the MEA grant.
And I'm gonna say all that again.
Do you need
Really?
to say all that again?
No, I'm gonna do the Cliff Notes.
Okay. Did I say too much?
You were very explicit.
Yeah, I want to be sure that we understand this is for the engineering design for this system.
And that's what I'm just gonna say. That.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was very impressed. The superintendent is recommending that we use an MEA grant in the amount of $124,310 and award it to Dakin. What's the rest of Dakin's name? America?
Dakin Applied Americas.
Dakin Applied Americas to provide engineering for our decarbonization of our, I guess, facility at Route 40. I'm not sure there is another word for it other than a decarbonization project at Route 40. So, with me muddling through that, that being said, is there a motion as such?
So moved.
So moved by Rodney. Second by
Second.
Matthew. A discussion.
Uh,
And I would caution the board, we are only talking about this project only, okay? Just this decarbonization project, okay? Yes.
This, just to point out, and I think we talked about this includes the air conditioning of Route 40 school, this whole project.
Yes, this is to design, Route 40 is one of our remaining schools that does not have air conditioning. So this would be the design for heating and air conditioning.
I don't have anything else.
Other questions? Anyone? Okay. We have a motion on the floor to use an MEA grant in the amount of $124,310 to Dakin Incorporated to complete a decarbonization project at Route 40 school. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And the grant is approved. Thank you. Okay, let's go to science, K through 5. Our continuing business is science, K to 5 and 9 to 12 instructional materials, and this is an action item as those were presented last month to us.
Good evening. We are here seeking approval of Discovery Ed for the elementary sector, and I'm going to speak about that. That would be Mystery Science and the tech book. It is aligned to the science standards. Mystery Science has been a favorite of our teachers for quite a few years, which is why it's teacher recommended. And we did have one comment. It was concerning the quality of the materials. And I just wanted to clarify that the spiral binding on the materials is actually the teacher edition. I would agree those are not really appropriate for our students. They wouldn't last, but they are renewable resources that are just regular bound type workbooks for our students.
At the secondary level, we presented Savas Experience for chemistry and physics, and then Miller and Levine biology, and also highly rated by the teachers, meets our needs for standards instruction. We did have, on the same public comment, a concern shared about a topic of global warming discussed in the chemistry book. But I would like to kind of counter that comment with the textbook is an instructional material that supports our instruction of the standards. We teach next generation science standards and Maryland's environmental literacy standards in high school. And there are cross-cutting opportunities in science for students to apply science concepts to the world around them. So.
Superintendent, you have a recommendation?
It's a simple one. My recommendation is, yes, no, I'm not. And we do appreciate the public input and that the staff considered that public input. But my recommendation is to approve the proposed Discovery Education K to 5 and the Savas Learning 9 to 12 instructional materials as reviewed by staff and presented.
Okay, the super, that's how I get those terms right.
Last one.
Superintendent's recommending that we approve the Discovery Education K through 5 and the Savas Learning 9 through 12 science and instructional materials. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Rodney,
Second.
second by Sadie. Can now have discussion? Any concerns? Okay, hearing none. There is a motion on the floor that was presented. All those in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
One nay. Matthew was a nay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Revenue update, 2025-26 update. Last update.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to give you an update, as you said. I believe at the last meeting, we had discussed the potential loss of some of our funding due to House Bill 504. As of late last night, it's our understanding that that funding is intact, so there will not be any reductions. We will know more when we get final numbers from MSDE.
Is that only for this FY '26? Is that I read in the paper? FY '27, '28?
I looked at the bill itself and went through the different programs. In the outer years, some of the funding is less than what was initially in there, but it still is increasing over time. So there could be some reduction, but I think things will change as we move forward. Additionally, we learned, I guess, as of, it was Friday evening, the latest we heard, the hold harmless money was still in there, had not been cut. So that would provide us with another $1.8 million if that holds. So you can ignore my memo and the potential cuts that we were anticipating. So at this point, it looks like we're back on track. And with the hold harmless money, we should have about $59.7 million for fiscal '26.
So if we could, I asked to join Mrs. Smith for part of this. If we could go to the summary slide, please. Because there has been, it's the one that says the goal. There it is. We have it. Thank you. I feel a need as superintendent to make a couple comments about the budget and where we are and where we're going, because we present to our county commissioners on April the 22nd, and we don't have another board meeting. And there are lots of things still up in the air. So as Mrs. Smith said, our latest information, it appears, and I would say appears because the session in Annapolis is just ending, that we're in a good spot for next year's budget when we look at our foundation funding and our different areas, different programs in the budget. So I went back to this slide, this summary slide that we presented to the board last month or maybe 2 months ago, that our goal will be to continue to support all of the priorities that we've discussed in our budget, using the minimum level of funding that the state is providing and that the county is providing. Our goal is still to work within those numbers, but I must say they have not been sent to us as final numbers yet. So I'll feel much more comfortable when we get those final numbers. In the budget, as the board members know, through the ARC, we had applied to purchase 2 vans, one for each high school, 2 10-passenger vans. We thought we had that money, and then some of the rules changed, and that money was no longer available to us. So our plan on those 2 vans, which will cost us about $140,000, not each for 2 of them, but they have to be specially built because they're 10-passenger vans. I will be requesting in our budget this year, we will be, a separate miscellaneous capital request for those 2 vans so that they don't, that will not be a part of our operating budget, but will be a separate request to the commissioners. So I wanted to let the board know about that. The other thing, I just want to take a moment because I've had questions from different members of the public about the federal money that was awarded through the COVID grant and the late liquidation status. And what the federal government has decided to do was to end all of that late liquidation. Garrett County Public Schools expended all of our funds. We did not request late liquidation. So when we look at that and work with our state partners, we expect no impact of that pullback of money to the Garrett County Public Schools. And I just wanted to take a moment to share that because I have had several questions from the public and even some board members regarding that funding.
Yeah, I would just add to that. It's certainly kudos to everyone who was involved in that from 2020 to now, because I think those in the central office at that time when all this started, and those of us who have been on the board, knew that this money was going to run out. And it's not going to be there forever. So let's spend it wisely, and let's don't spend it on things that we're going to have to continue spending it on for years to come. So I'll give a lot of credit to a lot of people previous to this night, and of course to the two of you as well, for doing this the right way. And we come out of this in a really good position.
I appreciate that statement, Mr. Woods, and I would give a lot of those kudos to our finance office, and I would also give a lot of the kudos to Dr. Miller, who was determined that we would not ask for late liquidation for a variety of reasons, but worked very hard with a variety of staff members to make that happen. So we should be in good stead as far as our federal dollars from the COVID.
Great. That's it?
That's it for tonight.
Well, once again, we said goodbye last month. Say goodbye again this month.
Showing up.
It's like a
Get
bad
rid of
thing. Well, it's certainly been a pleasure to work with you, Gloria, and you've done a marvelous job for us. And you helped us at a very critical moment of time. We're very appreciative of that. We wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors, and I'm sure you'll do just as well in your next job as you did in this one.
Thank you.
Thank you
much.
so very much.
It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed working with everybody.
Thank you.
And may I take a minute, because I don't think we introduced her last month. Did we publicly?
Yeah, I
We
think she
did.
was here. I think we introduced her, yes.
We introduced her last month?
Yes. We'll introduce
You
her
can do it
again.
again.
if you'd like. Okay, we are now back to you, Cadence.
All right, thank you. Oh, okay. So I'm going to start off. I apologize for not being at the last board meeting. I was down in Ocean City at our statewide convention for student council, representing Garrett County. I'll speak a little bit later on that. But as far as student reports, just a few of the highlights. I would like to give a shout out to our Northern High School FFA for participating in the 7th grade career day, where students got to go through and see what possible career opportunities they'd be interested in post-graduation. Ms. Cambria Kyle, who is also our GCASC president, was honored by Governor Wes Moore as a Maryland Young Woman Leader, which I think is incredible. Our GACO team is doing amazingly. They just recently finished in 3rd place at the first Chesapeake District Championship. 11th grade students on both ends of the county got to participate in the junior preview day at Garrett College, learning of the opportunities at Garrett College and what they can get out of it post-graduation, and then participants in the Southern Garrett High School culinary program, they got to tour Allegheny College and see what they have to offer for them as well. Lastly, the Garrett County Bar Association hosted the mock trial participants and recognized them at a banquet. And one last thing, as far as Garrett College, Southern Garrett High School students who are involved in our CTE programs or think that they want to go on to do some post-graduation certification of any kind, they got to tour Garrett College's Career Technology and Training Center. As far as student council activities, we've been very busy towards the end of the year. Yesterday, we just had our last General Assembly at the Performing Arts Center. The big thing at the last General Assembly, for those of you who don't know, is we do our elections. So our newly elected officers, I have provided on my report, but just a quick shout out to all of them. Our president is going to be a junior at Northern High School, Miss Lydia Seacrest. Our vice president is going to be a junior at Northern High School, Ian Ellicott. Secretary, sophomore at Northern High School, Eden Rankin. Treasurer, freshman at Southern High, Maeve Icewert. Second VP, Samantha German, a 7th grader at Southern High School. And then I received the student member endorsement. As far as our individual school reports, Broadford is working on an anti-drug play to be put on for the 2nd graders. They're also planning an end-of-the-year dance incentive. 7th and 8th grade student council just had a fundraiser. They're working on a teacher appreciation week. And which I thought was really cool, they're doing a 7th and 8th grade achievement board that they're going to be recognizing students monthly. 9th through 12th grade is planning a blood drive for the end of April. We're working with administration to install vape detectors in our school as per the vaping grant. We will be also, in collaboration with that, revisiting elementary schools and efforts to combat vaping among students. And we will also be having student council elections coming up soon. Northern Middle School, they are having an Easter basket raffle, and proceeds are going towards a student who is having surgery to help raise funds for her. They are also doing an end-of-the-year dance incentive. Northern High School is having a blood drive as well. They're planning a field day. They have installed vaping detectors as per their vaping grant. They're working on student council elections. And then as far as my initiatives and my agenda, I did say I attended the MASC convention to represent Garrett County. I have some school visits coming up next month. I attended the divisional caucus meeting, and I did get to attend last Saturday with Ms. Aiken, the Garrett County Health Fair. Some additional notes for you all. On the 26th, there is going to be the Garrett County Arts Fair, so I encourage all of you to attend to go celebrate our hardworking and talented students. There are several theater productions coming up, and I think that that's all I have. Thank you.
Questions, concerns, ideas for Cadence? Yeah. Thank you, Cadence. We do have one public comment this evening. Michael Henderson would like to speak about charter funding. Thank you, Mike. While he passes that out, I'll read our disclosure statement. Garrett County Board of Education is pleased to receive comments and ideas from our public pertaining to the policies, procedures, and/or practices of the school system. We ask that comments be limited to a maximum time of 3 minutes per individual unless otherwise considered by the board president. There will be no discussion or action taken at this meeting, but may be considered at a future meeting. Issues that are specific to individual employees should be referred to the immediate supervisor for appropriate consideration and review. Rude, slanderous, or threatening remarks or other disruptive behavior that interferes with the order of the meeting will not be permitted. Topics excluded from public comment include individual personnel issues, comments identifying individual students or staff members, matters that are on appeal or may be appealed or have been appealed, topics for which the board schedules formal public hearings, and advertising or solicitation of products and/or services. That being said, Mr. Henderson, please proceed.
All right, this is a follow-up on last month's comments. The charter school thing has been a mess from the get-go. For over a year, I've been talking about the funding of it and the formula for it, and it was absolutely wrong. And y'all presented a spreadsheet that was half-baked. With the December ruling and last month's presentation, we should now understand that the charter school gets the full funding of every other student in the county, minus a certain amount for administrative fees. If you look at the first sheet here, this blocks to the square, when the Board of Education approved the charter school, you had 30 days to have this done. It's been over a year, and we still haven't got it done. And there's a bunch of benchmarks and committees and meetings, and they were held to a different standard than everybody else. If you look at the second sheet, The charter school, when it applied, had a complete curriculum that was reviewed by the PTO, by the parents, and it was approved, and that's what we wanted, and that's what was delivered to the Board of Education, and we were told that it didn't meet the standards for high-quality instructional materials, and it had to be approved by Ed Reports. You look at the second sheet, none of the stuff that just got approved tonight is approved by Ed Reports. Last month, we were concerned about legislation restricting the funding. The legislation is done. We've passed it. Now the only question is, will you finance the charter school? Will you grant them the money that is supposed to be due to them? Or is the charter school a non-event? It isn't going to happen. We have a lot of people waiting for a decision. Are you going to fund them? I imagine that's it. Oh, there is one other thing, though. I was looking at the state projections for future enrollment. It is scary. Year 2028, they're predicting Garrett County to have a student enrollment of 2,990. Currently, we have a student population, a homeschool population of 501, with roughly 100 that are going to private schools. That's a 7-to-1 ratio. If we do not get this right, that ratio is going to go a lot higher. And all we need to do is fund the charter school and support our other small community schools. You've heard that from parents time and time again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Superintendent, you have a, well, let's do board member updates first. Are there any board member updates, anyone?
Just have one thing. As the superintendent mentioned, we kind of dodged the bullet on House Bill 504 with the conference committee. There was a lot of things that we thought were going to be cut that have been restored to the budget, which was really good. We're having the last legislative meeting in May next week, so I'll try to get you a summary of everything that passed and things that failed, and probably more of them failed than passed that would affect us directly. So I'm just waiting for that meeting so I can get the final tally. Bass. I'm done.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I am also anxious, Mr. Glotfeldy, to see in print, in detail, the outcome of the legislative session. I have great hopes for Garrett County Public Schools as I read today what I expect to happen. So that is very helpful to us. I would like for the public to make a few calendar reminders because we have some important things coming up. This Thursday, April the 10th, is a staff development afternoon with a 3-hour early dismissal for our students. I'd also like to remind everyone that Monday, April the 21st, which is Easter Monday, is a day of school in Garrett County. That is a makeup day for our inclement weather this winter. So we are expecting students to be in attendance that day, and that attendance is, of course, very critical to us for academic success and also impacts the Maryland School Report Card rating that we receive for each school. As I mentioned earlier, on Tuesday, April the 22nd, we will present the fiscal year 2026 budget to the Garrett County Commissioners. And I believe that is scheduled for 4 p.m., although I forgot to write that down.
I think it is 4.
It is 4 p.m. and we will present our budget priorities. Hopefully in the next couple days, we have real numbers from the state and can be fine-tuning those budget numbers. The other thing our student member mentioned, which is our Student Honors Art Fair, will be held on April the 26th from 9 to 3 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center at Garrett College. We will have student artwork on display. And I had not been for a few years. Last year's display was amazing, and I expect the same this year. There will also be performances by our theater departments, our honor band and honor chorus. So I urge people to attend that. The last thing I will mention, in conjunction with our student board member, the health fair that was held this past Saturday at Garrett College. I was very pleased to see how well represented the Garrett County school system was. We had staff from our Human Resources Department. We had staff from our Health Nurse Department. We had staff from Healthy Families. We had Judy Center staff. And what? And community school staff. Thank you, because Healthy Families is yours, not mine. So it was a wonderful event with a great turnout for the county, with lots of different groups represented. But I want to thank all of our staff for giving their time on a Saturday to make themselves available to our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else has? Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to recess back to executive as we took a reassessment from there. And then we'll come back here to close public after we're finished in executive. So at this time, we'll be going back to executive for a few minutes. Thank you. I'll now take a motion to adjourn from public session.
So moved.
So moved by Matthew,
Second.
second by Sadie. All those in favor of adjourning public session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And we are adjourned.